Okay, hello everyone. Today we're going to be doing a quick tutorial and guide on how the budget planner spreadsheet works. Now, bear in mind it was designed to be simplistic and easy to use, so it's not going to be a particularly long video today. The entire spreadsheet is simply one tab that you then duplicate and use for individual months. So as you can see, it's currently set to December of 2023. Now, the first concept is exactly how you change this. First of all, it's important to note that the end date is practically irrelevant. It's only there so that you can keep track of the period that you're keeping track of. Because obviously not everyone gets paid at the end of the month. Some people get paid in the middle of the month, so I thought it would be important to keep that there so that you can keep track of exactly what period you're trying to maintain. Now, in order to change the date, all you do is you double click on this tab and you select the month or the day that you want your period to begin. So if we make it the 1st of January, you'll see the month then updates and changes too. It's probably a good idea to name the tabs exactly what you want them to be. So for this example, we could make this Jan 23, or 24 in this case actually. Now personally what I would do is I would make duplicates of the first tab and then use each tab individually for each consecutive month throughout the year. So now that we've set our month, one of the important things to note is how you change the currency throughout the spreadsheet. As you can see here, it's currently set to dollars. All you need to do if you want to change that is to change this cell to the currency that you want to use. In our case, British pounds. We also then have a start balance. This is fairly simple. This is just money that you're carrying over from the previous month. Obviously, some months this could be 0. This could be whatever you really want it to be. I just thought that would be a useful feature to have. Then we have the cash flow section. Now, cash flow is basically a culmination of all of the other categories put together. As you can see here, we have debt, which is this category over here. We have bills and expenses, which is your fixed expenses, along with your expenses budget. And then you have actual, which is your daily expenses. Then we have income, which is obviously the income section. And we have one-time expenses, which also falls under bills and expenses. Now, personally, I believe that I've given enough rows for each of these categories to accommodate almost anyone. I don't believe most people have more than 8 kinds of income. If you do, hats off to you. Then we have one-time expenses, we have investments, and we have debt. Now, you'll notice there's also a bunch of little checkboxes throughout the spreadsheet in 3 of the sections over here. Now, for debt and bills, the checkboxes are merely there as a visual indicator to say that it has been paid. As you can see here, we've got a due date for all of the bills. These are fixed expenses that come off on the same day of every month, so it makes sense to have a little check mark to say that you've paid for that expense. Likewise with debt. Now, when it comes to the expenses budget, you can see here we've got the amount that was budgeted, the amount that's actually been spent, and then the amount that is left over. If we were to exceed that budget and we then have a negative value here, you can add a tick in the checkbox section, which means you surpassed your allocated budget. It's also important to note that all of these individual actual amounts are based on the daily expenses. So you can see here we've only got, I believe this is 7 categories. So if we were to fill this entire table up, we would end up with potentially 30 or 40 individual instances, and it sums all of them up and then splits them by category. And this is then kept track of here in this little graph, a bar chart where we're able to see exactly how much we've spent versus how much has been budgeted for said different categories. Likewise, we can actually see over here we've got an overall maintenance tracker, which tells us exactly how much we have left to spend overall. We also have little trackers that tell us how much debt we've paid off this month, as well as the amount of investments that have been made. These are based off of the tables that we have over here. And then lastly, we can see that we've got our budget allocations pie chart. All this simply does is it shows you the percentage that you've allocated of your overall budget to individual categories and expenses. Now, this actually includes your fixed expenses or your bills, as well as your daily expenses. It includes debt, it includes your investments, your one-time expenses, it includes everything. So it's really just a one-stop shop to see everything from a bird's eye perspective. So that's all you need to know about the budget spreadsheet. I hope that you go on to find a lot of value and use for it. If you do, please feel free to go and leave us a review on Etsy. We would greatly appreciate that.